If you missed my last video on the Bitcoin halving, which was recorded May 9th of 2020, Bitcoin was roughly $9,500 per Bitcoin. It is now currently $57,000 at the time of this recording. At the end of that video, we predicted new all-time highs within a year and a half, and that's exactly what happened. That's when we went into the bull market of 2021. So this video is super important. It's going to explain what the halving is, and it's also going to give some price predictions at the end. I am not price prediction guy. Okay, I think a lot of that is clickbait, but I think it's important to give you context as to what it's possibly going to do in the next 18 months. So first things first, what is the Bitcoin halving? So every 210,000 blocks, roughly every 4 years, the amount of new Bitcoin gets cut in half, okay? So what is a block? Think of a block like a 1 megabyte of transactions, okay? Bitcoin works on proof of work, which basically has expenditures of energy through miners, ASIC miners, which is SHA-256 hashing, which verifies all these different transactions to secure the blockchain. Think of it like a big open ledger, a big open accounting book, if you want to use that term. So when Peter pays Marco, Marco pays Caitlin, Caitlin pays, Mike. All those transactions are verified by miners in order to secure the transactions and verify them, and that's fit into one block. Each block is about 1 megabyte. Sometimes they're bigger, but typically it's 1 megabyte of information. So it's important, every 210,000 blocks that are verified, every 4 years roughly, this gets cut in half. The miners that are securing the network are rewarded by verifying a block, and that's going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day to 450 Bitcoin per day. So it's going to go from 6.25 per block to 3.125 per block. Each block is typically verified every 10 minutes. Okay, so if you just do the math, these numbers work out perfectly. It's just an open source mathematical algorithm and protocol. This time, it's the estimated time of this halving is going to be anywhere from April 16th to April 19th. So by the time this video comes out, which should be I'd say about 24 hours after recording, that would make it February 28th. You have about 49 to 50 days to invest before the halving. So if you look at this chart right here, when Bitcoin was first created in 2009 with the Genesis block, there were 21 million coins to be mined remaining. There's only 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence. It's just how the protocol works, the governing rules. And you would get rewarded 50 Bitcoin for every block. Then in 2012, that was reduced to 25. 2016, 12 and a half. When I made my video on May 9th, 2020, that block reward was now 6.25, which is what we're currently at. And again, it's going to go down to 3.125. It just gets cut in half, hence the name, the halving. So when did these halvings occur? So the first one was November 28th, 2012. The next one was July 2016. The next one was May of 2020. And again, I made my video on May 9th, 2020. And then this next one is going to be roughly the 16th through the 19th of April. So why is this important? Okay, so with the Fed, we don't know what the Fed's monetary policy is going to be tomorrow, let alone in the year 2140. The last halving is set to occur in the year 2140. I know this font is kind of small, especially if you're watching on a cell phone or a mobile device. If you're watching on a big screen TV, you can probably see this pretty clearly. But Bitcoin has basically 130 years of monetary policy baked into the protocol. The last halving is going to be in the year 2140, where the block reward becomes 0, which you can see right here in this column. Okay. And then we don't know what the Fed is going to do tomorrow, let alone 130 years from now. So you can see here that this started in 2009, 2012, 16, 20, 24. The next halving after this one is going to be in 2028, which is going to reduce the block reward to about 1.56, which is going to put about 20.6 million Bitcoin in circulating supply, which will make it about 96.87% of circulating supply percentage. Once we get to the year 2140, all 21 million Bitcoin will be mined into existence. So let's continue on the theme of why is this important. So this incentivizes mining innovation, okay? So again, with these miners, they're expending tons of electricity to secure the network. It's basically thermodynamics. So when people say, what is Bitcoin backed by? Outside of just its protocol and its utility of being the hardest form of money ever created, it's not debatable at this point. Basically, these miners are expending a lot of energy in order to secure this network, in order to run these machines that solve these really complex math problems that verify these transactions and secure the network. So it's going to optimize energy use. So we're seeing a bunch of different use cases for flared gas mining, water mining. We'll eventually, if possible, get into solar and things like that. But it's going to have to become more efficient in order for these miners to reduce their energy costs, which actually makes Bitcoin a green energy savings technology. So energy that's going to waste, people are eventually going to use that to mine Bitcoin because they'd be mining the hardest form of money ever created. So this increases the hash power, and then it also secures the network even more. Number 2 is supply scarcity. So this is the more monetary side of it. So this intentionally reduces the supply. Again, we're getting smaller and smaller rewards. So in a fiat monetary system, again, we don't know. Interest rates typically dictate everything. And with fiat money, if you look at this picture right here, ever since 2008, we've basically added $5 trillion to our balance sheet. So we're sitting at roughly 7.58 trillion. This is 1,000 billions. Our small lizard brains can't even comprehend how big of a number that is. But basically, the Fed's balance sheet is sitting at 7.58 trillion. So this is an inflationary money. Your dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow because of net present value, okay? So this is intentionally reducing the supply of Bitcoin, making it more scarce, making it more desirable, and making it ultimately worth more in the eyes of holders. So let's get into the price prediction part of the video. So again, I'm not price prediction guy. I think a lot of this stuff is just engagement bait and clickbait, but I think it's important for you to see what it's actually done, and then you can make your own decision from there. So this picture on the right, this was a tweet that I had a couple days ago. So I made this video on May 9th, 2020. It was $9,590. It's now $57,000. This was actually a screenshot from when Bitcoin was just $54,000, literally a couple days ago. And then this is from May 9th, 2020. So let's see what it's done. So if we look at the year 2010, you can see that it was up 9,900%. If you look at the year 2014, it was down. Or sorry, I should actually do halving years. So let me do 2012, up 186, 2016, up 125, 2020 up 301%, and then 2024 it's already up about 28% on the year. So we'll just see what it does. But basically, after the halving happens, it's typically 18 months after that is when we typically see all-time highs. So this should lead us to summer of 2025. So this is a chart. This is stock to flow ratio. I'll click into this so I can make it interactive. This was a model that has been disproven last cycle. That was because of COVID and a bunch of other stuff, but we'll see it's actually stuck pretty close to what it is. So let me click on this chart, let me get into the live chart, and then we'll go to price predictions from there. Okay, so this is Bitcoin's stock to flow model. So what does stock to flow mean? So stock means the amount of whatever that commodity is in existence to the flow, how much more of that new commodity is coming in, daily, monthly, whatever metric you want to use. So in this case, this is basically saying, hey, this is how much Bitcoin exists, the stock, versus this is how much Bitcoin is coming into existence, which is the flow. If you remember in the beginning of the video, we talked about how there's 900 Bitcoin mined daily, and then after the halving, that's going to get cut in half to 450. So if we look at this, it's important to understand this chart, even though this chart is just a model. All models are wrong, some are helpful. If you look at this y-axis, this is the Bitcoin price. So down here we have $1, up here we have $1 million. The x-axis is basically the time, so 2012 all the way to 2028. And then the color is important. It helps visualize what this really does after the halving. So days until the next halving is basically purple, dark purple. And then after the halving happens, that basically becomes red. And these are days until the next halving. It's 0 to essentially 1400, which again is roughly 4 years. Every halving is roughly every 4 years, or 210,000 blocks. So if we look at this, all these dotted lines on this chart are halvings. So we basically have 2012, 2016, 2020, and then we're almost at 2024 right here. Again, we're about 50 days away. So if you look at the purple, you can see what happens after the halving. This basically goes from $10 all the way up to $231. If you look at the purple, this goes from basically $527 all the way up to $19,600. That was 2 cycles ago. And then if you look at this purple, that goes from basically $5,000 all the way up to $67,000 Bitcoin. Okay, I think it was a little bit higher than that, but I mean, it was 68, 69 grand right around there. So now, again, we're at purple, okay? So we're going to hit the halving right around here. So let's follow this solid line. So in May of 2025, this model price has it at 440,000 Bitcoin. per Bitcoin, or $440,000 per Bitcoin. Do I think it's going to get that high? Probably not. However, what I do think by the summer of 2025 will inevitably reach six-figure Bitcoin. But the thing is, you guys, what I want to hammer home is, again, I'm not price prediction guy. And maybe I should save this to my thoughts at the end of the video. This is just a model. So you can play around with these models. You can see what it's done. But ultimately, it's pretty much followed this solid line. Yes, we had a huge bear market. The model had it at, let's call it 50,000 per Bitcoin. In reality, it was 16.7. But again, if you're dollar cost averaging, all that matters is that this chart goes up and to the right. And with it being a finite, scarce asset with 21 million, it's literally designed to go up and to the right as long as there's enough demand. And with the ETFs and everything coming into existence, you know, that's obviously going to fill that demand side of the equation. Okay, so now that we touched on price predictions, very quickly, I just wanted to pitch WhiteBoard Finance University. You can use the code Bitcoin20. This is my private school. If you haven't joined, we've been talking about Bitcoin and literally everything finance related, with full courses, teachers, the whole spiel. I don't do a good job selling this, but it's honestly one of the best finance communities in existence. I just wish I was a better marketer. But if you want to get 20% off, use the code BTC20 to join. When I first started talking about Bitcoin in this group, I think it was like 25,000. Now it's at 57,000. So there's that. So basically, let me end this video on my thoughts. So if you don't know why you're buying Bitcoin, do not buy Bitcoin. If you're just FOMOing in or speculating, or you're buying it because someone, you know, at the rec center locker room told you to do so, that's a bad reason to buy anything. Okay, whether it's a stock, whether it's an ETF, whether it's, you know, a bond, whatever. Don't buy it because the number is going up. That's obviously going to pique your interest, but you need to understand, why is the number going up? Okay, why does it keep doing this thing year after year after year, cycle after cycle after cycle, after multiple 75% drops, 80% drops? It's recovered from that 3 times now. So you have to ask yourself why that is. It's because it's the hardest form of money ever created. It's a digital savings account that can't be debased by the Fed from a few mouse clicks. It's generational savings. It's taking all the work you do in your entire life, storing it in this ball of energy secured by math and open source software, and it's also divisible up to 100 million places. So when people see, you know, $57,000 Bitcoin, they get intimidated. They go, oh, I can't afford, you know, one Bitcoin. It's 57 grand. I'd rather go buy, you know, an SUV. They forget that it's like a fractional stock. You don't have to buy the whole share of Bitcoin. You can buy it down to the 100 millionth, which is denominated by Satoshis. That's what 100 millionth of a Bitcoin is. So ultimately what I've been doing is I've been buying every week since roughly 2018. I don't tell people how much Bitcoin I own, but I'm kind of comfortable with where I'm at right now, even though I still continue to buy every week. I bought Bitcoin at $2,000. I bought Bitcoin at $68,000. It doesn't matter to me, right? Because ultimately, I end up somewhere in the middle in my cost basis, and I also smash buy when it has significant dips. Don't do what I do. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to any influencer on YouTube or on Twitter or Instagram. Most of those people are just trying to sell you something. Ironically, I want you to join my university, but you don't have to. I'm just saying that I've been deeply plugged into these markets for about 18 years now, and when I had my aha moment in December of 2017, that's when I started dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin every single week. If you wonder how I do that, I've done it through a combination of Swan, Coinbase, River. I currently use river.com. I would check them out. If you set up, this is not sponsored at all, but if you set up dollar cost averaging, there's no fees. So whether it's $25 a week, $50 a week, $1,000 a week, you know, $50 a day, whatever you're comfortable with, I think it would be foolish to stay on zero at this point in 2024. But you won't understand why that is until you really study. The 3 books to get you started are basically Vijay Boyapathi's Bullish Case for Bitcoin, Jan Pritzker's Inventing Bitcoin, and then also Saifedean Ammous's Bitcoin Standard. That's a good primer, but if you want to go even deeper, you can check out Parker Lewis's Gradually Then Suddenly series. That's a series of about 20-something articles, and then you can just go down the rabbit hole for hundreds, if not thousands of hours to really understand why this is the biggest monetary innovation ever created by humans in literally human history, and I don't say that lightly. And you know, you guys know me. I have a finance degree, worked in commercial real estate development, worked in traditional finance. Once you see it, it can't be unseen. So I think it's important to pay attention. But again, do not buy it until you fully understand it. Thank you so much. If this video was helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button, and send it to a friend. Thank you and have a prosperous day. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.